We are back. Would you welcome my good friend, Mr. Ed Sullivan here? How did you feel coming up on that board, Ed?
I thought you were going to fall right on my kiss.
Wouldn't that have been awful? The end of a sketch, and here he is, rump, right down. Good to see you.
Nice to be here with you, Jim.
We're going to talk with Terry Gallinoy later, who's written a book about The Tonight Show, but I think before The Tonight Show went on, believe it or not, almost 20 years ago, you'd already been on the air, right?
Yeah, we've been on now. We're in our 24th year.
24 years? Mm-hmm. That's an incredible record. It really is. Mm-hmm. And we've talked about some of your early days. You started a lot of people that most people have forgotten. Who was on your first radio show and who is a big major star now that made his first appearance? Jack Benny made his first appearance on your radio show. Mm-hmm. It was back in when? 19... That'd have to be...
Lord. Back in the 1920s.
Good Lord. It's a long haul, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Do you miss Sunday nights, not going out Sunday nights now? I know you're going to do specials, but you kind of miss that?
Yeah, you do. You know, it'd be like you if all of a sudden, instead of doing your night, every show every night, you didn't have it anymore, and you feel lost.
Every time I talk to you, Ed, I feel like I'm talking to some guy doing you. Ed walked in this afternoon and said, "Where do I lie down?" And I went over and I said, "No, Ed, that's wrong. It's where do I go?" And he said, "Oh, yes, That's one of the supreme compliments in our business, though, when other people do impressions of you, as you well know. And you have probably been the most, I would guess, most impersonated performer in our business in the last 20 or 25 years. Have you done a Flip Wilson show yet? I know you're going to do with Flip.
Yes, we've already taped that.
I understand you taught him how to do introductions of various acts?
No, actually, you know, he said that. He needed no help.
Yeah. And you've got the Agville Ward show, which was done from Las Vegas. Now, what's the date on that? I've got some of the dates here. That's January the 23rd. I think Sammy Davis was one of the recipients. Liza Minnelli, I know. And I believe our own Doc Severinsen won the award for the male newcomer.
Yes.
Did you not, from Fabulous Last Magazine?
Well, we've got 4 shows coming up, and we're all looking forward to them. There's the Agville Award show, as you know. It's on January 23rd. TV Comedy Years on February 20th.
Yeah, you're doing 20 years of television comedy, right?
Yeah. And it's magnificent, to go back into the files and pick out little just gems of comedy. And the Flip Wilson show will be the last week of January. And we're going to do a show on Broadway, John, that you like very much, because you'll recall so many of the people who were stars on Broadway and the shows you saw there. That'll be on in March. So
you're keeping busy even though you're not on every Sunday night?
Yeah.
If you had to pick out, and I suppose people have asked you this question before, if you had to pick out over the 20, 23 years of your Sunday night show, what stands out in your mind? I'm sure that the first time you had Nureyev or somebody like that on...
That's right. I think the first great kick, or the greatest kick of all, was getting the European performers to come on. Because up to that time, that hadn't been done.
That's right.
And it was a great thrill to have them, Chevaliers and, so many of them.
You paved the way. I don't know whether I've ever said this publicly or not, because in the early years, everybody said, what does Ed Sullivan do? You know, he comes out and he presents a lot of people. But you...
I've often asked the same question.
What am I doing out here? But you set the standard for a lot of variety shows because you did things in television that were not done because of your newspaper experience, and you were basically a good editor. And you brought things to a show that had not been done before. Brought the Beatles to this country when nobody had ever heard of the Beatles, and they showed up.
There were never scenes like that, I think, ever on Broadway. The crowds that assemble outside the theater and outside their hotel, that always will remain as a highlight.
How about naming the theater after you? They named the theater after you in New York City, right? That had to be a kind of a highlight.
They didn't call it Solomon, they called it Ed Sullivan.
Ed Sullivan Theater. Let me do this little commercial there, and we will come back. You still keep a hand in your column actively in New York?
Oh, yeah. I do. Well, I only do 2 a week now.
Right. All right, we'll do this. We'll be right back after a word from one of our sponsors. And we have a few. We're sitting here reminiscing with Ed Sullivan. Ed just asked me when I did my first television show. I think the first network show I ever did was 1950 on the old NBC All-Star Review and the Colgate Comedy Hour, although I did local television back in New York. People kid you, and about sometimes introducing the wrong person. Or, did you ever keep a reel of those? I'll bet Bob Preck somewhere.
Bob has one.
Has got a reel.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. If he ever releases, I'll kill him.
No, what is the one, because you've quoted him in your book, you know. Who was it you introduced one night? You don't mind if I kid you about this? Huh?
No, of course not.
I remember one night you had somebody on, and it was a singer, this some years ago, and you said, let's hear it for, and the name, like we all do, the name just escaped you for a second. Let's really hear it for one of America's really great singers. You want to come on out here, honey? I swear you did. I swear you did.
I know.
And I went right off the couch. Went right off of the couch. Hey, come on out here, honey. Are there any others that you would care to mention that you remember that you...
No, as you keep talking, I'll try to think.
You know it. Is there anything in your life, you've had such a busy life as a sports columnist and Broadway columnist and television, is there anything that you would like to have done that you have not done with your life, or anybody that you wanted to meet you haven't? You've met probably most of the important personages in the entire world.
Yeah, no, we've met various popes in Israel. We were in Israel, and we met the great ones in Israel. It'd be very difficult to try to figure out somebody
But you hadn't met.
We don't know. Well, it's the same with you.
Yeah. Almost, yeah. In 10 years, somebody asked me, and it's amazing the number of people that you have met, and had a chance to talk with them and meet them professionally and both socially, too. Look, I thank you very much for coming tonight, and we'll be looking forward to the Agba show and the Flip Wilson thing, and the Agba show's the 23rd, and the 20 years of television, that should be fun. Yeah. It must have been great going back and digging up all those moments.
It really was. Well, Bob did most of the work on that, and but you know, you're always very generous toward me, but you know, you've been on so long, and you've done such a tremendous job, and there have been, you know, so many shows are going off the air since you've been on.
That's true.
So I'm going to suggest the audience give a really big hand for Johnny Carson.
Ed, thank you.